Why does the song keep playing? Is someone else playing the song? Are you guys playing the song? Who's freaking me out right now? You guys hear me? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Why was that song still playing?
I've no clue. I'm just the guest.
No, I know. I'm so confused. I don't know what was going on. That was one of those moments where you feel like you're using a Commodore 64. You know what I mean by that? The floppy disk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to play Dr. J versus Larry Bird, and it just wasn't working. Yeah. So this is Into the Legit Darkness with Reeni Rodriguez. As you can tell by the beard, I am not Reeni. She just disappeared for a second. But Jerry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
What are you guys talking about tonight?
The Ken and Barbie Killers.
Oh wow. All right. Now, see, I oddly enough, the killer thing has always been one of those things that I start to get into, and then I go, oh, God, I don't know if I can keep up with that. Now, Ken and Barbie, before I bring Reeni on, are they Ken and Barbie, or are they looking for people that look like Ken and Barbie?
They were the Ken and Barbies. They were, he was a really good looking guy, and everybody thought was good looking, but when I looked at her, I thought, nah, she looks like a slut that used to go to school with me in Bemidji, Minnesota.
No, I didn't mean to bring you on right after that comment. Good luck with
the show.
Thanks.
You're live.
Okay. All right. So I had a little bit of a technical difficulty for some apparent reason. Can you hear me, Jerry?
Sure can.
Okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Ken and Barbie Killers.
Cool.
I know
I
you
like
did a little
the topic.
It's one of my favorite cases. Okay, you can find it. Like, I watched like a Lifetime movie on it before, and when I first seen it, I was very, very, very much intrigued by the whole thing. Honestly, so I'll start it out. So Carla Homolka, I always like saying her last name. It's kind of weird. And Paul Bernardo got together. They met at a convention. Mind you, this was in Canada. Jerry, do you remember the year? It doesn't. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's been.
I think it wasn't 1987.
86. I think it was.
86.
Okay, they met each other. It was all fine and dandy, and you know how that goes. Well, the first night that they met, Carla was actually a veterinarian technician, and they ended up sleeping together that night that they met.
Yeah. There's a huge echo that's just slamming back at me. Oh, I just wanted to say that now. Okay. Gotcha.
Sorry, guys. I am listening. Someone has the audio up too high.
I don't know.
Okay, no, the whole case itself is it was quite amazing because I didn't really find they didn't look to me like two innocent kids. They look like that they were going to get together and something was going to happen. But it's amazing what did happen with them.
All right, let's do the backstory on Paul Bernardo, though.
Okay.
All right. So we all know that his father was a peeping Tom, and it really wasn't technically his father. Remember that? It really wasn't. And he molested Paul's sister right in front of Paul anyways. So at the end of the day,
I didn't see that part.
What do you mean you didn't see that part? What do you mean?
When it did all the documentaries and everything that I heard and stuff, I didn't know that his father was pretty much the person that set him up what he was going to be in life.
Right. But he was already in trouble for like being a peeping Tom.
Right.
You know, because he was doing that at a younger age. So story goes on is these two meet each other, whatevs. And he wanted a virgin. And obviously Carla was not a virgin. It happens. So she offered up her sister, who was 15.
That's so messed up. You know, like
I mean, your own sister.
Yeah, older sisters are supposed to be protective.
So anyways, obviously she works in the veterinarian office, so she actually got what was it? I can't remember. It was some kind of like anesthetic, and then they gave her Vicodin mixed with alcohol.
That'll do it. That'll turn someone into a zombie.
Well, not only that, but she passed out and they raped her. Now, the kicker is they videotaped it.
Right.
They videotaped it. I know you and I had this conversation like before the show too. It was kind of weird.
Right.
And then she ended up dying. But they claim that, oh, nope, she had too much to drink. She had all this Vicodin in her system, all that good stuff. So nothing ever came about that. They just figured she just, died.
Well, they
couple
set
years
it up
later,
pretty good. I mean, these two, they were into.
What do you mean?
Well, they made it look like it was an accident, that she choked on her puke, and there was chemicals in her system and stuff, but nobody ever questioned exactly what the deal happened. If they would have questioned more, I think none of the other murders would have ever happened.
Not technically.
What do you mean?
He was a rapist before.
Right, but I think, when it came to the mother and the father of, what was her name again? Christy?
What?
Barbie. What was her name?
Carla.
I think Carla's parents would have really said, okay, wait a minute, let's take a look at this here.
Yeah, probably. But let's think about it this way. Let's say, but Carla supposedly wasn't like this, before she met Paul. Okay.
True.
Okay. I tried looking into her backstory, but she was a little different, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But so they get married. Well, he's wandering around killing what was it? Another girl.
15 years old.
15 years old. He actually took like cement that she would go to like a hardware store or something and buy, and actually cut up her body and put her in cement, and then dumped her in, I think it was like the river, like something on that order. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Right.
So anyways, there was 2 fishermen that found her that day, but that was the day that they got married, and it just didn't matter. Then it was, the next girl was Christian. I keep calling her Kristen French. And she was walking home from school, and Carla got out and had a map, and they were claiming that she went ahead and looking for directions. So then Paul came around from the other side, pushed her into the car. Carla got in the back seat with her and had her by the hair, obviously, till they got back to their place. The weird thing is somebody seen it and thought there was like teenage kids wandering around, just kind of goofing around. But she didn't stop. She didn't ask if anybody needed help. She didn't do any of that. So, and then she gave the wrong description of the car, which made it even creepier.
Right.
And they held her for what, 3 days? She
Something
was
like that,
raped
yeah.
like repeatedly and then strangled. Now, if you watch the Lifetime movie, okay, if you watch it, there's going to be some parts in there where it's claiming that like she basically went ahead and she stayed in her room while he was doing this and he was doing that. I have a really hard time believing that, considering like they videotaped everything. Like, they were married and they were having a house party, and some girl was all over Paul, and she just let him go upstairs like it was nothing. Again, only because he wanted a virgin. Well, then why didn't he just marry a virgin?
Right.
Am I right or am I wrong?
That's true. That's definitely true.
I know you have something to say because I keep rambling on.
No problem. You're doing great. So now, her sister was killed in December 23rd, 1990, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, there was actually 3 more victims after that. There was a Jane Doe on June 7th, 1991. There's a 15-year-old girl that was befriended at a pet shop 2 years earlier, and she was known as Jane Doe in the trials. She was drugged by Homolka and Bernardo sexually assaulted and videotaped her assault in August. Was invited back to the couple's residence and was again drugged. They called 911 to help her. The girl vomited and stopped breathing while being raped. And the ambulance was recalled after Homolka and Bernardo resuscitated her. Then it was Leslie Mahaffey.
Mm-hmm. And I think she got locked out of her house.
Leslie?
Yeah. She got locked out of her house because she wasn't supposed to be out late. So that's how he...
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right.
But it makes me kind of wonder, at the end of the day, why a wife or girlfriend or whatever would okay it. Like, why would you go along with it? And then she's like 6 months into their marriage, she's like, he was emotionally and physically abusive. Well, then leave. But also at the same time, I don't know what it is about him that she just had to have him. And she would basically kill for him at the end of the day.
I have no clue. I thought he was a very ugly man. And I think she did a lot of lying on that interview, saying that she was afraid of him and that, just the things that he would do. I think she wanted to do it as much as he did.
Okay. And I'm not disputing that by any means. Like, I'm really, really not. But I guess to me, and I just couldn't imagine having, like, being in a relationship like that. It's one thing, like, if you guys want to have, like, you're in a relationship and you want to have, like, this whole fantasy thing during your I'll call it sexy time. Okay.
Ugh.
That's one thing. But now you're just bringing in other people, and now you're just killing them. But then he wanted to say that Carla was the one that actually killed these girls. Well, what I found very interesting is when I actually watched the interview that Carla gave, and mind you, this was before the tapes came out. They gave her they basically said that if she testified, all this other kind of stuff, she'd only get like, I don't know if it was like 12 years. I know she only got 12 years. But the weird thing is she sat there and she said, I helped Christian, or I keep calling her Christian. I don't know why, Jerry, why? Kristen French. They were like painting each other's nails. They were having a good time with each other. Well, why not let her go? If Paul wasn't there, why not let her go? Why are you going to have girl talk? I highly doubt that even happened because she changed her story a couple times.
Yeah, that's what I said. She wanted it as much as he did. And then she wanted to save her own butt because it can go all the way down to the battered wife syndrome. And she was claiming that roughly, and that she didn't have a choice. She was scared. She was just as much as a monster as him.
Well, this is what I found kind of a little disturbing. Also, in the interview, they took her through the house, and she wanted to know she dressed as a schoolgirl. Okay. Like, she's not a victim at the end of the day. I'm not saying that she wasn't a victim for like the physical and emotional abuse. That's not what I'm saying by any means. That's beyond that. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is don't dress like that. Don't worry about where your furniture is, about a book that your other sister not the one that she killed, but the other one. She wanted that book. Where her perfume was. I mean, just random stuff. Like, why would you?
Well, she's trying to make herself look innocent. You know?
I know, but I'm just saying. To me, it doesn't make any sense.
None of it makes sense. None of this whole case makes sense. And it doesn't make sense that she's out of prison. She's married. She's got kids. That makes no sense to me.
Well, and again, I watched some interviews, like a lot of parents who her kids go to school with their kids, and they did not agree with it. But at the end of the day, you can't really say that those kids have to go to school regardless. But my question is, who in their right mind would even want to reproduce with somebody that videotapes all of it? I mean, she killed her sister. She helped kill other teenage girls. What makes us think that she's not going to be able? I mean, she wouldn't kill her own daughter.
This country and Canada, everybody wants to forgive that person because it makes them good Christians.
Yeah, but okay, first off, you can't really forgive something like that. I mean, think about this. I know she moved to like a different town in Canada or whatever the situation may have been, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is what about the victims' families, right? That they're still alive, they're still out there. And what happens if they run into, her in general, right? Because Paul's still in prison. He's there for the rest of his life. But We're going to get to that in just a couple minutes because I told you what I did, Jerry. That was a bad idea.
Right.
But what happens? I mean, wouldn't you want to just pummel their butts? I mean, when you'd see her?
I myself, if I was the father, I probably would have seen through the whole thing when it was happening. I would have questioned a little bit more. Exactly what was your sister doing at your place and what exactly happened.
This happened at her parents' house, though.
Oh, I thought it happened at her house.
No, they were living with this. This was like basic.
That's
This was
right.
his Christmas present.
That's right. God, the whole thing just drives me crazy.
But it's your sister, you know, your sibling, somebody that you're growing up. Well, technically, I mean, she was younger, yes, but it's your own family member. Your own family member. At the end of the day, why would you say, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You can have her."
Right.
But see, she was upset because supposedly they had good china and they were drinking champagne and she never got to use that china. Like, you're jealous of your 15-year-old sister?
Yeah, I don't get any of that.
I don't either.
They're all messed up.
Okay, so let's talk about what I did.
What did you do? You do something similar?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Reenie, you're a horrible person.
I would never. Okay, like I said, there's one thing like that you want Fantasyland and you do whatever it is that you do with your partner, but I think you kind of cross the line when you start kidnapping people and killing people. Do you know what I mean? Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. Take it for what that is. But I wrote Paul. Remember? I was telling you about that.
Right. Yep. That's
I'm not
right.
gonna read
You
the-
did. What
did.
all came of that?
Okay. So basically, I personally believe, and this is just what I believe, and I'm not going to read the letters. And I just want everybody to know, don't ever write like a killer or a serial killer. It's not like, don't start it out. If you're going to do it, don't start it out like, why did you do it? All right. I had to get like a whole PO box in like a different town. But anyways, it was basically, I personally think that if he was still out, he'd still be raping people or women. I think he'd still be killing women. But he wanted my picture. It was basically a wannabe love letter. And basically, if I'd come and visit him, A, I'm not going to Canada. B, I'm not giving you a picture. And C, I'm definitely not going to fall in love with you.
You should have given my picture. So, have you seen the Netflix show on the Ken and Barbie killers?
I didn't watch the one on Netflix, to be honest with you. I watched the Lifetime one.
Okay.
I'm a Lifetime movie buff. You know this. We've been friends for how long?
15,000 years.
15,000 years. And you know that I'll be watching Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, this is how I found out. I know that, I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, did you watch the Lifetime movie? Because I told you to watch the Lifetime movie if you had. And that movie's just called Carla.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. I know you didn't.
No, I had to work today and I was just beat.
So he did no research on this. I'm just going to tell you guys.
I
Obviously, he
watched
did no
it.
research.
Well, number one, I remember the case. I remember a lot of things about the case. I did watch a documentary on it, and it brought back a lot of memories about it. It just, the whole thing is this, for some reason, this case disturbs me more than Dahmer, than, well, my own cousin, who's in for killing
mind you,
7
Jerry is
women.
still getting the info for me.
Yeah, if my side of the family is having a really tough time wanting this story to go out. But the thing is, it is my family too, and I want to discuss it.
And well, and then, honestly, Jerry and I are like family.
Yep, we are.
So
She's like a little sister that never listens.
That's true. It's definitely true.
But I love her.
I don't listen to anybody. And plus, I've been sick, so I barely talked to you this week. But what I'm saying is, I don't know, because I feel like Dahmer, that was a pretty rough case, and it's like one of my favorite cases as well. As long as with this one, I don't know why this one intrigues me, and I think it's because it's like a couple. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but I think it's like your own sister. I think that to me in itself is just crazy.
Right.
Or is that just me? But see, she never got convicted of her sister's murder ever.
And that's wrong, especially now that everything's out. Was there a special reason why they never went after her for it?
Okay, because I think when she got a deal. Okay, I don't think they didn't see those tapes, because you got to remember they taped everything, and I mean everything.
Well, they had to have seen those tapes.
Well, I don't think that those tapes came about until, I'm talking like you were from Minnesota now, huh, Jerry? Came about.
Right. Came about. And Minnesota doesn't talk like that. That's really? Canada.
I used to always say, like, get out of the road.
Well, that's Minnesota.
That's Minnesota. I know. Yeah. Everybody still gives me a little crap about that. She wasn't convicted of her sister's killing, but the videos did not come about until after they practically made a deal with her. And we need to talk about how he got caught. Let me tell you. He beat the crap out of Carla. Paul did. She leaves him. She files a report, right? So obviously she goes to the hospital because he really beat the crap out of her. Well, there's DNA all over, and he gave his DNA, I think, like 10 years prior, or not even 10 years prior, probably 5 years prior. We'll say 5 years, right? I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe a couple of years, whatever. We'll say 5. That's how they caught him. Because he was wandering around, town raping people. I heard it was like, he'd find people at the bus stop, like women at the bus stop, and he'd just rape them. I mean,
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I don't know why he's even still alive.
I don't know the laws on, like, as far as Canada goes, like their death penalty, if they even have one, or if it's just like a life sentence. I know that he's got a life sentence, but I know that he's been moved to a different facility, not at a max, security right this second. I do know that. But my thing is how is it in prison there? Like somebody hasn't like totally pummeled his butt.
They may have.
I mean, because here in the States, I mean, like, think about it. If you're like a child, like you always hear about like people that killed a child or whatever, and they're getting their butt beat in prison.
True.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. Do you know the laws, Jerry, in Canada? Because now I'm curious.
No, I don't have no clue. I know that they're not as strict as Minnesota or United States.
They're not as strict as Minnesota, guys. It's okay.
You weirdo.
I'm not the one. They're not as strict as Minnesota. Like the other states is fine. I don't think it works like.
I don't know. I'm listening.
I don't know. I know we talked about, I don't know how they actually do it in Canada. I really don't. That's one thing I do not know.
Yeah. So. Neither do I.
But I mean, so this one irritates you more than Dahmer. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
Why? Look what Dahmer did.
Yeah, look what he did and stuff like that. But I mean, your sister, he never did anything to a family member that I remember.
No. I don't know. Like I said, this one and I think Dahmer like are very disturbing to me anyways, but they're very intriguing to me. Right. Like why why your sister? I mean, why? I mean, how can you just be like, oh, here you go, she's your present, it's okay? Like, that to me in itself is crazy.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine like offering up one of my family members as, I don't know, like I said, I think it's just kind of one of those things, like, she wanted to play the victim. She wanted to say, okay, well, he did this to me, but I never did anything to those women. And I'm sorry, but I don't buy that. I really don't. Take it for what it is. I believe she full-heartedly knew what she was doing. He claims that she was the one that, I know in an interview she said, I think it was Easter, and she didn't want that girl sitting at her house. Well, she went to her parents' house alone. But why strangle? I mean, I don't know. Why even rape him? Why even strangle him? Why even bother? Like, if he didn't want to get married, I mean, if he wanted virgins, why didn't he just randomly find other women? Because I've seen pictures where he's actually there. I mean, if you think about it, back then, they were a nice looking couple. And I know you're going to say, well, they're not even a nice looking couple, but back then they were.
I never really thought so, And besides that, with his wanting virgins, what's the best one? Now, this is everybody's going to disagree with me on this, but if you have an attractive wife and she's young, she's going to be the best one that's going to be able to friend someone that is, or know someone that is, which she did, her sister. And almost all 14 and 15-year-old girls, and hopefully they up to 18 to 21 are virgins beforehand.
I mean, we can only hope.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing is just so sick and twisted.
And I understand what you're saying, but like I said, I don't think that she was like this before she met Paul. And that's just my opinion. Take it for what that is.
Right.
But
well, she still could have been. Now, hold on. She might have had those fantasies of this type of stuff.
Okay, but I feel like if even if it's just a fantasy, you don't need to act on it. But I think as like a decent human being, if you know like your boyfriend, husband, whatever is doing this, because he told her that he was the Scarborough rapist on their wedding day, and she's like, oh, okay, that's okay, it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. Like, don't say I do. Like, even if you already said I do and then he tells you, I'd be like, I want a divorce, I want an annulment, I want whatever. Okay? I would like tell everybody at my reception, I'd get it on like the little microphone. But like, that's it. Everybody go home. Somebody call cops.
Right. But she wanted this. So
I think she wanted
was
him.
like that. Well, she was like that before. Then the opportunity came and she took it. And it was her choice. She could have walked away from him. And you can't say that he made her do it. She did this willingly.
I'm not saying that she didn't do it.
There was something wrong in her head.
Okay, I'm not saying that. But how do we, I mean, technically, I don't really think that she wanted that. But I think she wanted him so bad that she would have done anything for him.
I
think about that.
Disagree with you, but she was going to do anything for him anyway. And this just happens to be something that she wanted. And so you got two things right there. It's going to make her easier to get her fantasy.
Okay, but we can't technically say that it was her fantasy. We can say that it was his fantasy, because I don't think she's running around and being like, well, I want a virgin. He was the one that wanted the virgin. Look, he went to Florida and he's hooking up with other women. And she's like, oh, did you have a good time? And this was for like his bachelor party. And she's just sitting at home, and he said, if she calls, just say you're my sister. And she's dumb enough to go along with it. And they're not even married yet at this point. So why not just say, you know what, I've had enough. Like, you're not going to treat me like that. But maybe her self-esteem was low. I don't know. I mean,
a normal person would have walked away from that right when she found out. She was not a normal person. She was sick in the head, just like he was.
I'm not saying that she wasn't sick in the head. That's not what I'm saying. I guess what I'm trying to get at is I think if she was with somebody different, I don't think that this stuff would have gone down the way that it did.
Unless he turned out to be like him. Unless he, the other guy, if she chose another, was to show interest and stuff like that, it would spark her.
I'm not saying that she wasn't promiscuous. That's not what I'm saying, okay? I think that if she found somebody decent that she could have actually settled, well, I mean, she did, I guess, now.
She could have, but she says it now and it's way too late because she was corrupt.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. Some people, and I'm saying some, and I'm not saying all, some people will do anything that their significant others want them to do just because they want to feel loved and they have to have that person. Instead of saying, I'm done, I'm not doing this, and that's not what that I don't think that even crossed her mind. I think she just wanted to keep him, and it didn't matter what he did and how he did it. I think she was going to just go along with anything. I just don't think she had that backbone to say, well,
It's something that she's always wanted.
Okay, well, I mean, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
I really don't think that, but I mean, we can agree to disagree because that's just who we are. But I really would love your reasoning on that, just because
the thing is that some people are born like that.
And I understand that.
Take interest. Like there's some people, okay, now you're not going to like this.
Oh, of course not.
There's some people that turn into serial killers because they have an interest in becoming one. So some do turn. Wait, I get to talk now. And, it's kind of a scary thing. But the thrill, that's what they're looking at. The thrill of the stalking, the thrill of the thought of killing someone, or not even raping them, but just the thought of killing them, to some people makes them crave it. Is that almost like a vampire? Yeah, sort of like, but it's also sort of like Leatherface, or I'm not going to say Michael Myers because you love him, but I do. But no, it's a lot of people do. They fantasize, and sometimes it goes a little too far. And with her, it went too far.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and I'm curious. All right, so let's say, for an example, and I'm just using it for an example. Let's say that I'm chatting with somebody, right? And I am telling him all my fantasies, right? All of them, and it's graphic and whatever. So what you're telling me is I would act on those, because I really don't think that I would.
No, but if you're telling somebody all your fantasies like that, they can make you do those.
I highly doubt this. First off,
hold on a second. No. They can, because they know what buttons to push you at for you to actually want to do it. The human mind can only take so much.
Okay, but this is just my theory in it, and I'm just saying, I'm using it for an example, and I'm just going to say that maybe I was, and I'm using this for an example so nobody thinks that I'm actually doing this. But let's say that I was texting somebody and I was giving them every single fantasy that I ever had, and maybe it was graphic, and maybe it was, let's say that it was like a Carla and Paul graphic stuff, and I'm just using it for an example, okay? Because I'm not saying I'm doing it, just want to let everybody know. Mm-hmm. What you're telling me is whoever I'm texting knows what buttons to push, so they would convince me to actually do it. That's what you're telling me.
Yep, for you to act out your own fantasies.
Okay, first off, you know me, and you know that you can't push me into anything that I don't want to do, okay? And I feel like that's how some people are. I feel like just because you're talking to somebody about like some kind of fantasy, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to act out on it.
Right. Again, though, this is you. You're a bullheaded
I know, I was using it for an
little
example.
turd. But other people might be up for it. And they're like that. They're letting all their fantasies out, and then they want to react on their fantasies. So then they have somebody that, you know,
So what you're saying is, if I did that, and I hope to God that I would have to have somebody that has like a backbone and not somebody that is weak. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, a lot of weak-minded people out there.
No, I was
that
just
can be talked into
asking
stuff.
because I feel like in a way she was weak-minded instead of just saying,
Yeah.
I think she just wanted him, and it didn't matter how she was going to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of, like I said, what people do in the privacy of their own bedroom and how they do whatever, that's fine. But I just feel like she just kind of let him act out on it. And she's like, well, I have to go along with this because I have to keep him. Like I'm saying, I don't personally think that she was like this before she met him.
You never know. You know what? You'll never know.
You know, I'm going to
you can
Canada
even-
now.
you can even-
Jerry, we're
wait a
taking a
minute.
trip.
Hold on a second. You could go to her and you can say these exact same things. And you know what? She's going to lie to you. She's going to lie because I don't know if in Canada, if murder is a lifelong thing. In other words, you commit a murder unless you made a plea deal or something, so you're not going to be charged for that. But nobody knows that yet for her.
Okay, so
Somebody has to answer for that crime.
okay, but what makes you think that this new husband of hers, okay, because she's married now, she married her lawyer's brother, to be exact.
Right.
How convenient. I get in trouble and it's okay, I got a lawyer. What makes you think that he won't convince her to do something else? I mean, why would you want to marry a killer in the first place?
Okay, so this guy's name was Theory, is it?
I think so.
Theory Bordelius? Something like that. He's famously known as the husband of a Canadian serial killer. Let's see.
Yeah.
She killed 3 minors from 1990 to 1992. She actually had an high IQ.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
132.
Okay, so again, I think she was so engrossed by him that if she would have done anything. I think that's exactly how it comes. That's what it comes down to. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, now so basically her husband now can convince her to do whatever.
But possibly.
But I know that you and I were talking about, like, considering she's got to be a sex offender of some sort, because I do know that she wanted to switch her name and the court said no. I do know that.
Right.
But I think that people, I mean, I don't know. I'd want to know if my kids were going to school with like a killer's kid. I'd probably march into the PTO.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll find out. I'm better than the FBI. But here's the thing. I'd want to know. And I think every parent there has a right to know who their kids are going to school with. You know what I mean? Like if there's a killer, if like a killer's kid is going to school, like I said, at my children's school, I want to know. I have every right to know. And I think it should be public. And I think technically, but like, how can I put this? All right, so she's a sex offender plus a killer at this point. But she only got 12 years. He's a killer, sex offender, and God even knows what else. Crazy person. But he got a life sentence because supposedly he did it. He claims she did it. I just don't understand why they didn't do a retrial after they found the tapes. But I did find out that those tapes are now destroyed. I did find that out, which they should be, because nobody needs to have their hands on that at all. Yep. And I mean, parents don't need to see their child like that, period. So, yeah. Anything else you got to add, Jerry?
Exactly.
I said, anything else you got to add tonight?
I'm trying to think here. Try to see here if there's freaking ethnicity, any kind of a thing he just liked her. No, nothing at all.
Mm-mm. This case is just bizarre. But Jerry will eventually find info on some other killers that we could discuss personally. Another one in the family that Jerry's still working on.
The what?
Did you freeze up? I said anything else you got to add, and then I said I know you got like another
there's
case.
A leg.
There's what? There's what?
There's like a 10-second lag in voice.
Yeah, I see that. So, do you got to add anything else before we wrap up?
Nope.
Nope. Well, this has been a good show, and thank you for being on.
Thank you, Reenie.
All right, thanks. You have a good night.
Okay, bye.